If you think you're too old to start over, just wait until you hear the stories that prove your later years might be the best chapter of your life. The late life push. Picture yourself at 65, sitting by the window, staring out and wondering, what's left for me now? The truth is, this isn't the end, it's just a semicolon in your life story. Across Canada, thousands of people once believed everything was over, only to unexpectedly open a brand new chapter that even surprised themselves. Your brain, much like a secret adventure addict, still craves new experiences even if your body starts complaining every morning. Research from McGill University shows that the ability to learn and form new neural connections continues for life. There's no such thing as too late for the mind. The real question is, do you have the courage to try? I know you've heard enough cliches like, age is just a number. But here, we're not talking about pretending to be young, we're talking about using the advantages of age, life experience, patience, and a natural filter for ignoring nonsense. You've weathered far too many storms to be afraid of a little drizzle. The late life push doesn't come from making yourself young again. It comes from realizing you're in a unique position to rewrite your story. You no longer have to chase anyone. You no longer have to meet society's deadlines. All it takes is one decision, one step forward, and you might be surprised at how life still swings its doors wide open, waiting for you to walk in. Why many people give up? Something strange happens once you pass 50. People start speaking to you in a soft, careful tone, as if you're a fragile glass about to crack. Take it easy, don't overdo it. At your age, you should just rest. It sounds caring, but hear it enough times and it turns into a kind of hypnosis, and you start believing you're truly past your prime. Psychologists call this the self-fulfilling prophecy, a prediction that ends up creating itself. When you hear too often that you're no longer capable, your brain will look for ways to prove it's true. You'll feel more tired, slower, and less willing to try, not because of age, but because you've been programmed to believe it. Science shows that the feeling of lost motivation in midlife and later years often comes from losing connection to personal goals, not from physical limits. A study from the University of British Columbia found that people over 60 can learn new skills even faster than some younger groups, if they feel that skill is truly meaningful to them. The problem is, we live in a society that worships youth and speed. When you can't run as fast as others, it's easy to think you should just stop entirely. But life isn't a sprint, it's a marathon, and you're in the stage where experience and strategy matter more than fast legs. The hard but freeing truth is, nobody really cares how old you are. The world only reacts to what you still dare to do. You don't quit because your body tells you to, you quit because you believe it should. And that's exactly when you need to break the cycle. The science of change. You know what's fascinating? Your brain doesn't care how old you are, it cares about what you do with it. Neuroscience shows that even at 80, the brain still has neuroplasticity, the ability to rewire itself and create new neural connections when you learn or experience something new. A study at the University of Toronto followed adults aged 65 to 79 who took up painting, learned a new language, and played musical instruments. The result? After just 6 months, their brains showed increased activity in areas linked to memory, attention, and problem-solving, nearly matching people decades younger. In other words, your brain can still hit the gym, as long as you give it a reason to work out. This applies to the body too. Medical research in Canada and the US shows that people who start exercising at 70 can still build muscle, improve cardiovascular health, and boost endurance within months. It's not magic, it's biology. The body responds to new habits, no matter how long you've ignored them. But here's the key. Your brain and body only change if you actively put them in challenging environments. If you do the same things every day, your brain switches to energy-saving mode, meaning it maintains but doesn't grow. So, the next time you think, I can't change at my age, remember, science proves the opposite. You're not too old to change, you're only old if you stop trying. A real-life story. Let me tell you about Margaret, a retired nurse from Halifax, Nova Scotia. At 72, she was convinced her best years were behind her. Her husband had passed away, her kids were busy with their own lives, and her days felt like a loop of TV reruns, tea, and early bedtimes. One morning, she caught her reflection in the mirror and thought, is this really it? Then came a flyer in her mailbox, community theater auditions, no experience needed. She hadn't been on a stage in her life, but something in her, maybe boredom, maybe curiosity, pushed her to go. The first rehearsal was chaos. She forgot her lines, entered on the wrong cue, and nearly knocked over a prop tree. But something unexpected happened. She laughed. Really laughed. That night, she went home buzzing with a kind of energy she hadn't felt in decades. Fast forward 2 years, Margaret is now a local favorite in the theater group. She's learned more scripts than she thought her aging brain could handle, traveled to perform in other towns, and, most importantly, built friendships that reignited her social life. Her story isn't about becoming famous or rich, it's about proving that a second act can start with something as simple as saying yes to a strange little opportunity. And the best part? Margaret says she feels younger now at 74 than she did at 60. The invisible barriers. Most of the walls holding you back aren't made of bricks, they're made of ideas you've been carrying around for years. Things like, I'm too old for that. People will think I'm ridiculous. What if I fail? These thoughts are quiet, polite, and persistent, and that's exactly why they're dangerous. Social stereotypes don't help. In Canada, as in many countries, we still quietly label people over 60 as slowing down. We expect them to take up gardening, not start a podcast. We nod approvingly when they babysit grandkids but raise eyebrows when they train for a marathon. Society hands you a script for how to age gracefully, but it's really just a velvet cage. Psychologists call this internalized ageism, when you start believing the limits others set for you. It's like carrying a small voice in your head that's not actually yours, but it speaks with your tone so you don't question it. Here's the truth. The moment you stop caring about those imagined rules, you become free to rewrite them. Yes, you might look out of place taking a dance class at 78. But that discomfort you feel, that's the sound of your comfort zone stretching. And it's in that stretch where new life begins. The restart formula. Starting over in your 50s, 60s, or even 80s isn't about tearing your life down and rebuilding it from scratch. It's about adding one small brick at a time, consistently, deliberately, and with zero concern for how late you're starting. Step 1. Pick one thing that excites you, even slightly. It could be learning photography, volunteering at an animal shelter, or finally tackling that novel idea you've been carrying for 30 years. Don't choose something because it's practical. Choose it because it makes you feel awake. Step 2. Make it tiny. If you want to get fit, start with a 10-minute walk, not a gym membership and a personal trainer on day 1. If you want to write, commit to 1 paragraph a day, not a full chapter. Small wins stack into big changes, and they're much harder for your brain to sabotage. Step 3. Add accountability. Tell a friend, join a group, or post about your progress. Public commitment turns, maybe later, into, I'm showing up. Step 4. Celebrate the weird milestones. Your first mistake in pottery class. That's progress. The day you finally remember your new yoga sequence without peeking. That's growth. The restart formula isn't magic, it's momentum. And momentum doesn't care how old you are, it only cares that you're moving. Humor and a new lens. Here's the thing, fear looks a lot smaller when you laugh at it. Take your worries about looking silly. Newsflash, everyone is too busy worrying about their own weird hair day, bad knees, or missing teeth to notice yours. Humor is a secret superpower in later life. When you can laugh at forgetting where you put your glasses, only to realize they're on your head, you take the sting out of aging. You turn what could be a moment of frustration into a punchline. And in that laugh, you loosen the grip of fear. Shifting your perspective can do the same. Instead of thinking, "I'm too old to try this," flip it to, "I've lived long enough to know I can handle whatever happens." Suddenly, a dance class, a solo trip, or even starting a small business doesn't feel like a gamble. It feels like a victory lap. Humor doesn't erase the challenges of aging, but it makes them lighter to carry. And when the load feels lighter, you can walk farther. Sometimes, that's all it takes to open the door to your second act. The closing chapter. At some point, you have to ask yourself, if not now, when? You've carried dreams, ideas, and what-ifs for decades. Some have collected dust. Some still wake you up at night. And the truth is, no one is coming to hand you permission. You have to give it to yourself. Your second act doesn't have to impress anyone. It doesn't have to be Instagram-worthy. It just has to be yours. Maybe it's starting a small woodworking shop in your garage. Maybe it's learning Italian just so you can order gelato in Rome without pointing at the menu. Maybe it's picking up the guitar because you've always wanted to play that one song. The people who make it to the end of their lives with the least regret aren't the ones who played it safe, they're the ones who kept turning the page. You still have pages left. The ink hasn't run out. So, what's your untold story waiting to be written? Because the best time to start was yesterday, and the second best time is now. That's all for today. I'll be making more videos like this in the future. Subscribe so you don't miss them.